still works. The blood still saves. What we need is a brand new generation of blood pleaders.
We have the right to never walk in fear again.
You ought to let the devil know I win in a week, but I come out strong.
Just start taking little steps. Start small. Start now.
It ain't about race. It ain't about creed. It's about the kingdom of God. Come on, somebody. Get up on your feet right now and let God restore your character.
Welcome to the show, everybody. Welcome to Stronger Every Day, where the coffee is strong, but the Word of God makes us stronger. Me and Jeremiah have been here the past 2 days, and that's because Sean is out a little bit. He's in Tulsa right now, and, he's just having a good meeting down there, preaching and listening to other preachers. It seems to be a bit of a conference, and it just seems like it's going to be a good time for them down there. And then, we will be in Pella on Sunday. We'll be there for a couple days, and we're just so excited and ready to go there. And we're just, we're ready. We're here, and we're happy to be spreading the gospel around the world, around this nation. And, it's just an honor and a privilege, and we're so happy that we can impart into you every day on this show as well. And, it's just so good. And if you want to connect with us in any other ways and see where we're going, see what we're doing, who we're impacting, you can always go to all of our social media. It's on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and in our Snapchat. Those are all ways to connect with us, all ways to, just be where we're at. And that way that you can pray over when we're traveling, when we're at places, pray for revival, pray for, just people to be impacted. And, we cherish everyone that watches, everyone that, connects with us. And we just love connecting with you because, it's hard to just text and call nowadays when we have so many people, because we've grown so much. And so when we could just connect with you in the little ways through Facebook and all the other outlets, it's a fun way to do it. And we're so happy to connect with you. But today, I'm going to be talking about faith in the storms. The other day, we were in, where were we? Bunker Hill, Indiana. And Sean gave me, when we travel now, we do like these little things at these churches called Micah Minutes. And I did this little bit, and I wanted to actually make a lesson out of it. And, so I just went into more detail, looked up more stuff and just put it all together because that is what I just felt like I was led to do. And so we're going to talk about the faith in the storms. I know a lot of people right now have been going through storms, especially in this past year, constantly facing something, it seemed, whether it was a physical attack, a mental attack, an emotional attack, there was always something, there was always something happening, it seemed. And, it's just that constant attack that it's just been ridiculous. We've all just been sitting here and it's like, what in the world is happening right now? But today I'm here to give you some encouragement to go through your storm with confidence. I'm going to help you get that and understand that I can go through my storms. I can go through, the waves in my life, knowing with confidence that I'll make it and everything will be okay. So we're going to start out here. I'm going to read these verses. I'm going to go to Matthew 14. I'm going to read 22 through 32, and then we'll go into more of the lesson. It says this, to give you a little bit of elaboration. Jesus just fed one of the few times that he fed the multitude, and this is just right after. So it says, as soon as the people were fed, Jesus told his disciples to go into their boat and go to the other side of the lake while he stayed behind and dismissed the people. After the crowds had dispersed, Jesus went up into the hills to pray. And as night fell, he was there praying alone with God. But the disciples who were now in the middle of the lake ran into trouble, for their boat was tossed about by high winds and high seas, At about 4 o'clock in the morning, Jesus came to them walking on the waves. When the disciples saw him walking on top of the water, they were terrified and screamed, "A ghost!" Then Jesus said, "Be brave, do not be afraid, for I am here." Peter shouted out and said, "Lord, if it is really you, then have me join you on the water." "Come and join me," Jesus replied. So Peter stepped out onto the water, began to walk towards Jesus, but when he realized how high the waves were, he became frightened and began to sink. "Save me, Lord," he cried out. Jesus then immediately stretched out his hand and lifted him up and said, "What little faith you have, why do you let doubt win?" And the very moment they stepped into the boat, the raging wind ceased. So, in this passage, there are a couple things that I'm going to pull out of it that the disciples did that we cannot do in the storm. And the first one is, that the disciples did that we do in storms. And the first one that the disciples did in this thing, in this story, was they got scared because they could not see clearly. In the storm, a lot of times, we get scared of what's in the storm because we can't see what's in front of us. We can't see what's coming up. We can't see on our sides because everything is just so cloudy and so dark, in these storms. The disciples couldn't see where they were headed towards. They knew which way to go, but they didn't know what was coming up because of the storm. And when they saw Jesus coming towards them, they couldn't see his face. All they could see was the figure. And when they saw his figure, that's when they started to get nervous and scared of what's coming. They cried out, "Ghost." Just because all they saw was the figure, they couldn't see his features. They couldn't see what was coming their way. Many times we do this. We see something coming towards us in the storm, and since we're in the storm, we automatically think that it's something bad, that it's something negative, that something is coming to hurt us. They got nervous in the storm because they did not know that Jesus was with them in the storm. At that very moment that they were in the storm, they didn't know Jesus was right next to them, that he was coming towards them. We forget many, many times that Jesus is always with us. Even in the hard times, even in the storms, even in the pain and all the suffering in the storms, Jesus is with us. And many, many times, he's the one carrying us through the storm. Many times. So, we can't be afraid of what we see in the storms. You got to have faith. You got to have faith of what's in front of you. Once we fully see and hear that God is with us, that Jesus is in front of us, that it's not something scary. When we look and we get nervous and see just a figure, and we just say, "Oh goodness, what is this?" What's coming our way? But once we see, when they cried ghost and Jesus said, "Be brave and do not be afraid." Once they heard his voice, their whole attitude shifted. He said, once they started to hear his voice, once they started to see the figure and hear the voice along with it, they knew who it was. They got a boost in their faith. And many times when we see this and we see that God is with us and we see that Jesus is walking beside us, we get that boost of faith and we're like, "Hey, we can do it. We can make it now." You have that faith to do anything and everything. You have that boost out of nowhere. So we decide to test our faith. Either that or God is trying to get us to test our faith. See where we are. we have to test our faith. So we take that first step out, just as Peter did here. He took the first step out because he trusted in God. When Jesus said, "Come and join me," so he stepped out onto the water and began to walk towards Jesus. We take that first step out of the boat and we see that it ain't as bad as what we thought it would be. We step out of that boat, we got that boosted faith, we say, "Hey, look, we're actually doing it. We didn't fail. Look at what we can do." But as we keep walking, as you keep moving, the potential to lose your focus increases. Which leads me to my second point here, which is this. We get distracted by our surroundings. This is what caused Peter to fail. As Peter was walking towards Jesus, he was walking on the water towards Jesus. But he got distracted. He lost his focus heading towards Jesus. He realized how high the waves were and became frightened and started to sink. When he was walking, he was looking ahead, he saw Jesus, but then all of a sudden, those splashes of water against their face, the mist of the sea crashing around him, he sees how high the waves were getting and crashing around him. He started to tilt his gaze away from Jesus. Started to turn away and look away from Jesus. When he lost that focus, when he lost where he was supposed to be looking, that is when he started to fail. When we see God in the storm, when we see Jesus in front of us in the storm, there will always be the little things trying to distract us. You're in the storm, you see, okay, Jesus is right there, he's with me. I'm going to be okay, it's going to be all right. Then all of a sudden, we have a bad day. Oh God, why did this happen? I'm just walking towards you, shouldn't this be good? And then you see, then something else happens, whether one of your friends does something, whether one of your family members does something, you just have another bad day. And it's just like, why am I going through this while Jesus is right there in front of me? But the thing is, can you keep your faith up? Will you get distracted by the little things, or will you push those aside and say, God is not doing this to me? The devil's trying to distract me from my main purpose, which is to reach out and go towards Jesus. Even when we're so close to God, even when you're right in front of Him, you can still fail. You have to go all the way through. Now think about this. When you read in here, it says that, when he began to sink, Jesus immediately stretched out his hand and lifted him up. How close was he that Jesus could just immediately just pull him up? How close was he? He was really close. He was right there. He was right there in front of him. And he still lost his focus, which we can do as well. When you're right there, right in front, you could see God every day in your life. But you still just get tilted by a wave crashing, the water hitting your face. There's something in there, those distractions. How close was he, really, where God could just immediately reach down his hand? Jesus was right there. Just pull him up. We need to always be on our guard. Doesn't matter how close you get to him. Always trust in him and always focus on him. Because any little distraction, if the waves could take Peter's, focus away from God that was right in front of him. Jesus was right there. If the water could distract him from him, what can distract you? There's no need to worry though. If you do fall, if you do lose focus, Jesus is right there. He'll pick you up. He'll bring you out of the water and take you back to the boat. Because once we let him take control, you walk out there with your faith and you get right there and you're so close and you get distracted and you lose focus on what you really need and what you were trying to get. Jesus is right there and he'll help you back onto the boat and he will calm your storm. Once we put Jesus in our boat, doesn't matter how many people were in that boat, it wasn't until Jesus was brought into the boat that the storm was calmed. Doesn't matter how many friends, how many family, how many pastors, doesn't matter how many people you put in your boat, until you put Jesus in your boat, your storm will not subside. But once Jesus comes in your boat, everything just seems to calm down. He is our storm-ceasing God. He is our protector, the one who cares for us, the one who loves you through all of our failures, all of our trials, everything that we've done wrong. He still loves us. He'll always be there for you. So remember this. Don't be afraid of the things that you can't see clearly, and don't get distracted by all of the things that happen around you. We're right there. You could be right there and still fall. We just have to be careful. We have to watch what we're doing and what we're allowing to control our attitudes, our focus, and our emotions. What are you letting have part in your life? You gotta be careful. You gotta be watchful of what's around you. Amen. That's just such a blessing. I hope this word has touched you today. And if you feel like God is telling you to give to our ministry, because Stronger Every Day is an outreach, this is an extra way for us to reach you and to be able to preach the word and to give you hope every day, Monday through Friday at 11:30. This is our way. If you feel like you need to give and God's pressing something on you, there's 4 ways to give. You can always hit #donate in Facebook and Periscope. You just hit those. You just type that in. It will shoot you a link. You go there after the stream, and you just fill out whatever they tell you. The second way is you can text to 888-364-4483, right? Yep, okay. Got that. You can just text STRONG to that number on the screen. And then there's always the newer ways, the Cash App and Venmo at SSM Strong. There's a way that you can give there. If you don't like any of those, there's always our website that you can go to at standingstrongministries.org. So again, if you guys feel like giving, there's your opportunity. But we just want to tell you that we love you and we know that God is there for you in your storms. Just look for him. He's right there. He's waiting for you. And remember, something good is going to happen to you today.